hacías tú por la música? ¿Qué hacías? ¿Cómo fue tu infancia?
Bueno, yo me crié en un barrio fuerte, en la 139 de South Bronx.
The South Bronx of the 1950s was a tough place, but it pulsed with music and hope amid the struggle. Young Willie spent summers on a relative's farm in Puerto Rico, where he bonded with his island roots and heard the traditional Jebaro folk songs of the countryside. Back in the Bronx, he was surrounded by Latin rhythms on every corner. As a boy, Colón listened to a new sound brewing in his community, a fiery blend of Afro-Cuban beats and big band brass that local kids began calling salsa. Those lively street melodies lifted his spirits and sparked his imagination, offering an escape from the poverty and discrimination that hemmed in his neighborhood. For young Willie, life in the Bronx was full of challenges and inspiration. But what spark would ignite his passion for music and set him on the road to stardom? What would light the fire of musical ambition in this Bronx teenager? Colón's journey into music began with a gift from his grandmother. Noticing his interest, she bought him a shiny trumpet and paid for lessons when he was just 12 years old. Willie took to the instrument immediately. He practiced relentlessly, mastering the trumpet's brassy calls. It didn't take long for the teen's talent to turn heads. In 1964, at just 14 years old, Willie formed his very first band, rallying neighborhood youths to play the infectious new salsa rhythms at local gigs, leading a scrappy youth orchestra with dreams bigger than the barrio. His determination paid off sooner than anyone expected. At age 15, Willie was so young that when a record label offered him a contract, his mother had to sign it on his behalf. That label was the upstart Fania Records, a burgeoning Latin music label in New York, and they saw star potential in the brash Bronx teenager. How would Willie Colón fare when he walked into the recording studio for the first time, still just a kid with a trombone? What happened when this prodigious teen stepped under the wing of Fania Records and cut his first album? In 1967, a 17-year-old Willie Colón entered the studio to record his debut album on the legendary Fania label. The album was aptly titled El Malo, Spanish for the bad one, or the bad guy, a nod to the tough but cool persona Colón was crafting. On the cover, the baby-faced Willie posed as a suave gangster, long before such imagery was common in salsa. This bold branding wasn't just for show. Colón's music had a gritty, streetwise edge that set him apart. Blasting out trombone riffs over Afro-Caribbean percussion, he channeled the sound of the barrio into electric studio recordings. Incredibly, El Malo, recorded while he was still a teenager, became a hit, selling over 300,000 copies, an astonishing feat for Latin music at the time. But Willie didn't do it alone. Recognizing that the young band leader needed a strong vocalist, Fania's Johnny Pacheco paired him with a raw but talented Puerto Rican singer, Héctor Lavoe. It was a match made in salsa heaven. Colón's brassy arrangements and Lavoe's soulful voice meshed perfectly, igniting a partnership that would define a new era of music. Through the late 1960s and early 70s, Willie Colón and Héctor Lavoe churned out one salsa classic after another. Their albums featured raucous boogaloo beats, Puerto Rican plena chants, and gritty barrio slang, capturing the joys and the struggles of Latino life in New York. For 7 years, Lavoe was the voice of Colón's band, and together, they became the young princes of the Fania Records roster, playing dance clubs and theaters packed with cheering fans. Willie's star was rising fast. With a string of hit records and a rebellious image that resonated with the youth, he had helped turn salsa from a local craze into a cultural movement. With fame and momentum on his side, how much higher could Willie Colón climb? What would the peak of his musical career look like as he pushed salsa to new heights? Every rise comes with hardships, and Colón's story had its share of turmoil. By 1973, the pressures of fame had begun to strain his partnership with Héctor Lavoe. The duo that once electrified salsa was now faltering under the weight of success's temptations, especially Lavoe's hard-partying lifestyle and growing drug addiction. The charismatic singer began missing rehearsals and showing up late, or not at all, to concerts, leaving Willie in the lurch. The bond between the band leader and his vocalist Once like brothers was fraying, Colón made the painful decision to part ways with Lavoe as his lead singer. It was a heart-wrenching split. Lavoe, el cantante, would go on to struggle with addiction and personal tragedy, while Willie had to regroup and find a new voice for his band. In 1975, at the peaks of New York City's salsa explosion, Colón met a young Panamanian singer-songwriter named Ruben Blades. This chance meeting would open a thrilling new chapter in his career. Blades' eloquent, storytelling lyrics found their perfect partner in Colón's innovative musical vision. The two teamed up and began crafting songs that went beyond dance floor fodder. These were salsa chronicles that spoke of street life, love, and Latin American struggles. Between 1977 and 1982, Colón and Blades released a trilogy of groundbreaking albums that expanded salsa's audience and ambition. The pinnacle of their collaboration was Siembra, an album often hailed as the most acclaimed and best-selling salsa record of all time. Siembra brimmed with innovative tracks, like the hit Pedro Navaja, a Latin twist on the Mac the Knife tale, that carried messages of hope and protest at a time when many Latin American countries were under oppressive regimes. Without sacrificing the irresistible salsa groove, Colón and Blades proved that Afro-Latin music could be socially conscious and commercially successful at once. The album became Fania Records' top-selling title and remained iconic well into the 21st century. By this time, Willie Colón's influence reached far beyond the Bronx. He was touring internationally, from Carnegie Hall in New York to soccer stadiums in Latin America, bringing salsa to new global audiences. His records had earned multiple gold and platinum certifications, and he had garnered Grammy Award recognition for his contributions. Ever the multi-talented artist, Colón also collaborated with legends like Celia Cruz, and even ventured outside salsa. It seemed that Willie Colón could do no wrong on stage or on record. And yet, behind the bright lights and hit records, not everything was as smooth as the trombone lines he played. Even as his star blazed, Willie would soon face some of the darkest challenges of his life. What obstacles lurked behind the scenes for the salsa hero? And how would he confront them? In 1982, at the very peak of their popularity, Blades decided to leave and pursue a solo career. For Willie, it felt like history repeating itself. One moment he was on top of the world, the next, his partner was gone. Frustrated and hurt, Colón refused to ever again depend entirely on another singer. He did something drastic. He took the microphone himself. For the first time, Willie Colón became his own lead vocalist. It was an act of sheer willpower, a seasoned trombonist reinventing himself as a frontman. Those years in the 1980s were a time of transformation and testing for Colón. Salsa music's golden era began to wane as musical trends shifted, and Willie found himself navigating a changing industry largely on his own. He also channeled more of his energy into activism and community leadership during this period, which, while rewarding, meant balancing two challenging worlds. There were other setbacks, political aspirations that fell short, and personal losses such as the untimely death of his friend Héctor Lavoe in 1993. Yet through every obstacle, Colón's resolve never wavered for long. He adapted, evolved, and kept the music playing. If you found value in this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below on what you would like to see next.